Listen, as God is revealing people, make sure you are the one that stand back and stand by. Do not allow yourself to get caught up in this, because this is what's going to happen. The devil knows how to kill two birds with one stone. So be sure that you're not being boastful and bragging and celebrating somebody else's downfall. Because once you see other people trying to support them and step in to defend them, what's going to happen is your heart is going to become corrupt. Because you're going to be angry that somebody is trying to defend somebody that you know has done wrong, or you think they have done wrong. So now the devil will twist your heart as well. Then it stops being about God. This is why, as the people of God, we have to stand back and stand by. This is why God tells us to pray for our enemies, because when we continue to pray for people, it keeps our heart pure, that we don't enter into a bitter place and a hateful place, because it's very easy to do so. Don't get a part of that, because there's also a thing called a silent storm or a silent test, where everything that you think that this person is doing or they done wrong, God will send a test your way just to show you how weak you may be as well. Catch them diamonds. And I have a testimony about that. So when I first got baptized at 21, and I started learning the story about Adam and Eve, and I seen how when God told them what not to do, and I always said, and I was saying to myself, I was just fussing about it. I said, now Eve know that God told her personally not to do this thing right here. And I said to myself, I said, if God tell me something personally, I'm not doing it. That's the God of the universe. He tell me personally not to do something, I'm not going to do it. How did she fail this test? How did they fail? Somebody say, keep on living. I kept on living. God remembers this conversation that I was having with myself in the house, just fussing at what Eve did. I kept on living. God told me not to do something personally. Guess what? I did it. It is so easy for you to fail the test as well. It's so easy for you to say what you would have done. I wouldn't have done this. I ain't gonna do that. You are not as strong as you think you are, or that you say you are. This is why God say, in your weakness, I will be your strength, because we really ain't all of that. The reason why a lot of us are walking on that water right now is because we're staying connected to God, and you got to move at a slow, steady pace. You see what I'm saying? I learned that early. So when that happened to me, God brought me right back to Eve. Now, what you say about Eve, what you would have done if I told you not to do something? Ooh, God know how to humble you. Luckily, my situation wasn't something that was detrimental, but it was a silent test. You understand what I'm saying? I learned early. That's why I stay humble and just pray for people. I'm not surprised when I see people, fall from grace, because it's easy. Very. And I also want you to keep this in mind. Just because somebody falls from grace or do something that we consider is so bad and so evil, that does not mean God is throwing them away for good. You may throw them away for good, but that doesn't mean that's what God is doing. You understand what I'm saying? Because if that was the case, all of us would be thrown away, including me. No matter how anointed and appointed you are, at any time you could fall as well. This is why I tell people to take one day at a time, because that's what I do, one day at a time. And another thing, this is what I want to say for the saints, is that stand back and stand by, because guess what? A lot of people who are guilty of whatever is being exposed, God may call you to stand in the gap to show mercy and grace to them. Why do I say that? Think about Saul. If you don't know about Saul, read up about him. He was a Christian killer. He didn't care for Christians. But when God appeared to him, his life was renewed. Everything that he hated, he became that. See what I'm saying? Not everybody God is throwing away just because you want him to. You see what I'm saying? This is why you stand back and stand by, because God may want to call you to fill in that gap to show mercy and grace. Because a lot of people are going to get off course. A lot of people are going to fall from grace. And that's what the body of Christ is for. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's body. Come on now. And I'm going to close my message with this right here. Another thing that I was thinking is, if you are trying to find somebody who has no flaws, then you need to stop looking. The only person that you look to is Jesus. That is it. God, that is it. If you're trying to find it in a person, you're not. And I think that is really the biggest issue with people, is because you be inspired by a person, you follow them, you look up to them, or whatever it is. And as soon as you see that they are people who fall from grace, you think that they are fake. No, the problem is you keep thinking that you're going to find somebody who's perfect and spotless, and you're not. That's why I always tell people, don't put me up too high. And I tell the same thing to my family. Don't put me up like that. Because I need room for error, because there's going to be some error. As long as I'm here, it's going to be some error, some kind of way. It may not be in the ways of other people, but it's going to be some error. This is why people get disappointed, and this is why a lot of people do fall away from the church, because I think you looking for God, but you keep looking for him in a person. We are supposed to be Christ-like, but honey, don't expect me to perform like Jesus. You understand what I'm saying? That's the real issue. That's why everybody be falling out when you hear stuff. I don't feel nothing, because I already knew better. Because when you keep it real with yourself and knowing the things that you face secretly, you don't look at other people and think that they're not facing nothing. You become smart and wise. So I'm never surprised when I hear anything about anybody, because I know we're all in that flesh, and I know what that flesh do. If you do not get some Jesus coverage, it will control you and take you into dark places if you're not careful. So if anybody's surprised by things, that's because you've been living a life of being naive. If you want perfect, Jesus, not me, not them, Jesus. That's who you want. That's who you should follow anyway. Catch them diamonds.